Robbery at the Parc des Princes. Daylight robbery. If you missed PSG versus Liverpool last night, you missed one of the most outrageous smash-and-grab heists in Champions League history. Liverpool somehow escaped Paris with a 1-0 win despite spending 87 minutes under relentless siege. The numbers tell the story PSG fans will be cursing for weeks. An XG of 1.82 to Liverpool's paltry 0.27. Wave after wave of attacks. Alisson's goal under constant fire. The Reds? Barely stringing 3 passes together in PSG's half. And yet, when the dust settled, it was the traveling Scousers celebrating like they'd witnessed a tactical masterclass. So what actually happened? This match was football in its purest form. Beautiful, cruel, utterly unpredictable. From the first whistle, PSG came out flying. Luis Enrique had his side humming. Barcola was tearing Konate apart down the left, Dembele wreaking havoc on the right, and Kvaratskhelia floating between the lines like a ghost, leaving Liverpool's midfield chasing shadows. 8 minutes in, the warning signs flashed. Fabian Ruiz pulled a shot just wide after a dazzling Barcola run, PSG's opening salvo in what would be a 90-minute bombardment. By the 20th minute, they thought they'd landed the first blow. Kvaratskhelia bent a stunning strike into the top corner, leaving Alisson frozen. The stadium exploded, but then, VR. Offside. By inches, centimeters. The finest of margins stole their moment, but PSG weren't rattled. 10 minutes later, Barcola cut Liverpool open again, setting up Dembele one-on-one with Alisson. The Brazilian keeper, who was about to turn in one of the great goalkeeping performances of this competition, got enough on the shot to deny him. Szoboszlai then heroically blocked the follow-up. And that was the story of the night. PSG attacking, Liverpool surviving. The Reds couldn't get out. The famed gegenpress? Non-existent. Mohamed Salah? Invisible. Nuno Mendes had him in his pocket. If you'd tuned in blind, you'd think PSG were the ones 13 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Halftime. Still 0-0, but it felt inevitable. PSG would break through. They had racked up 1.37 AG to Liverpool's laughable 0.13, which came from a Luis Diaz flicked header that barely counted as a chance. Arne Slot had to change something. His team was drowning. But whatever was said in Liverpool's dressing room, it didn't shift the tide. PSG came out even more aggressive in the second half. Kvaratskhelia twice forced Alisson into jaw-dropping saves. Dembele went close. Hakimi had a go. Alisson was a one-man wall, producing a Champions League knockout performance for the ages. And yet, somehow, this game had one final, brutal twist. The wildest part of PSG's dominance? It wasn't just about how many chances they created. It was the quality. These weren't pot shots from distance or hopeful crosses into the mixer. PSG were carving Liverpool open, crafting opportunities that, on any other night, would have led to 2, 3, maybe 4 goals. Willian Pacho nearly found the net with a flick-on that needed a last-ditch block from Szoboszlai. Hakimi fired just over after a slick passing move. The pressure was unrelenting. It felt like a goal was inevitable. Meanwhile, Liverpool looked like a group of strangers who just met at the airport. Their passing? A mess. Their pressing? Non-existent. Their attack? A total no-show. Mohamed Salah was so anonymous that when he finally got hooked in the 86th minute, it felt like Arne Slot was just making it official. PSG had erased him from the game. By the 80th minute, the numbers were brutal. Liverpool had faced 20-plus shots in a Champions League knockout match for only the 5th time in recorded history. The previous 4 times, they always conceded at least once. A PSG goal wasn't just likely, it felt like a law of nature. And then, football happened. That maddening, beautiful, completely unpredictable thing we love so much. Minute 87. Liverpool, who hadn't done anything going forward, launched a rare attack. Alisson, the man who had single-handedly kept them alive, thumped a long ball upfield. Darwin Núñez, barely involved since coming on, battled for the knockdown. The ball somehow broke for him again. He muscled off his defender and poked it to another substitute, Harvey Elliott. Elliott took one touch, side-footed it into the far corner. First shot on target, first goal. Football can be that simple. And that cruel. The away end erupted. The rest of the stadium? Stunned silence. How? How could a team that had done everything right find themselves losing with 3 minutes left? To their credit, PSG threw the kitchen sink at it. Luis Enrique's men won a late corner, half cleared. Mendes whipped it back in, Ramos couldn't reach it. Mendes tried one last darting run, cutting into the box, drilling across toward the near post. It found Alisson, again. The final whistle blew after 5 agonizing minutes of stoppage time. On one side, Liverpool's players celebrated like they'd won the whole damn tournament. On the other, PSG's collapsed to the turf, shell-shocked. The XG told one story. PSG 1.82, Liverpool 0.27. The scoreboard told another, PSG 0, Liverpool 1. This right here is why we love football. You can break down all the stats, dissect every tactical nuance, analyze every pass, every shot, every duel, but the game will always find a way to surprise you. For Arne Slot, this was a statement win in his first Champions League campaign with Liverpool. His side had been outplayed in every department, yet they'll walk into Anfield with a priceless 1-0 lead. And his substitutions? Inspired. Elliott's goal wasn't just a lucky bounce. It was a moment of ice-cold composure in a stadium full of frayed nerves. Paris will feel robbed. Liverpool won't care. That's football. For Luis Enrique and PSG, this one is going to sting. For a long, long time, they did everything right, except put the ball in the net. They created, they controlled, they completely shut down Liverpool's attack. But in football, the only stat that truly matters is the scoreline. And PSG got a brutal lesson in just how cruel this game can be. Now the second leg at Anfield looms large, and the entire complexion of this tie has changed. Instead of bringing a lead to England, PSG will have to score at least twice in one of the most hostile environments in European football. Meanwhile, Liverpool will stride onto their home turf with swagger, knowing they've already withstood PSG's best punches and somehow stayed on their feet. But let's be real, this wasn't some tactical masterclass from Arne Slot. This wasn't a performance that screams Champions League winners. This was pure survival. Liverpool didn't outplay PSG. They outlasted them. And the reason they're heading home with a lead comes down to one man, Alisson Becker. The Brazilian put on a clinic between the sticks, making a string of jaw-dropping saves that kept Liverpool in the game when, by all rights, they should have been buried. If Liverpool go deep in this competition, they'll look back at this performance as the night their goalkeeper dragged them there. Now, let's talk about the individuals who made the difference, on both sides. For PSG, Bradley Barcola was electric. The 22-year-old had Konate in a blender all night, breezing past him at will, creating 3 big chances from 14 final third passes and winning 4 of 6 duels. He was clever, he was direct, and on another night he'd have left with a couple of assists. Kvaratskhelia making a rare start was just as impressive. The Georgian thought he'd bagged a beauty in the first half, only for VAR to steal it away. He forced Alisson into 2 world-class stops and caused endless headaches for Liverpool's midfield with his clever movement. And then there was Ousmane Dembélé. Chaotic, relentless, devastating. Andy Robertson spent most of the night backpedaling, trying to contain the Frenchman's raw pace and trickery. He had a golden chance to score, but like so many others, he found himself denied by the force field that was Alisson Becker. As for Liverpool, let's be honest, it was the Alisson Becker show. The man could have stopped time itself last night. His positioning? Impeccable. His reflexes? Insane. His command of the box? Unshakable. Without him, this would have been a PSG rout. Virgil van Dijk, to his credit, had his moments. Despite Liverpool's defense being under siege, the Dutchman pulled off several last-ditch clearances that kept PSG's XG from ballooning even higher. Beyond that, hard to find too many Liverpool players worthy of praise. Salah? A ghost. Jota? Isolated. Luis Diaz? Ineffective. The midfield trio of McAllister, Gravenberch, and Szoboszlai completely overrun, barely able to keep hold of the ball, let alone build anything meaningful. And yet, none of it mattered. Because football is a game of fine margins, and PSG found themselves on the wrong side of them all. The numbers are wild. PSG outshot Liverpool 19-3. Outpassed them 536-375. Won 10 corners to Liverpool's 2. By every measurable metric, the Parisians were superior, except the one that truly counts. Football is unfair. Football is brutal. And that's exactly why we love it. As we turn our eyes to the second leg at Anfield, the biggest question looms. Can PSG replicate their dominance on English soil? And more importantly, will they actually put the ball in the net this time? Liverpool will be better. They have to be. It's almost impossible to imagine them playing that poorly again, especially in front of their own fans. Anfield on a European night is different. It's special. It's electric. Mohamed Salah, invisible in Paris, has made a habit of delivering on nights like these. Darwin Núñez, whose knockdown led to the match winner, might have played his way into the starting 7. But PSG won't fear Anfield, not after what they did to Liverpool at Parc des Princes. If they carve out even half as many chances in the return leg, they'll fancy their chances. They've already shown they can neutralize Liverpool's press and carve them open. All they need now is a little more ruthlessness in front of goal. For Liverpool fans, this win will taste so sweet. Not because it was deserved, it wasn't, but because this is the kind of result that defines a Champions League run. Every great European campaign has one of these. A game where you have no business winning, but somehow you do. Think Chelsea at the Camp Nou in 2012. Think Liverpool in Istanbul in 2005. Sometimes you don't have to be good. You just have to survive. For the neutrals, this was a chef's kiss of a football match. It had everything: skill, drama, controversy, heroics, and the ultimate sucker punch. It was a perfect reminder that for all the stats and analysis we throw around, football still has an untamed chaos to it that no algorithm can predict. Looking ahead, we might get more drama elsewhere in the Champions League, but it's hard to imagine another game that delivers quite like this one did. The sheer contrast between performance and result, unmatched. Now, for PSG, the challenge is as much mental as it is tactical. How do they shake off a loss like this? How do they convince themselves they can go to Anfield and flip this tie on its head? Luis Enrique has to rally his squad, make them believe that if they repeat their first leg performance, the result will come. For Liverpool, the warning signs are clear. Arne Slot can't afford to let his team think they can get away with another performance like that. The pressing was non-existent, the midfield was battered, the attack was stranded. If they don't fix those issues, they'll be playing with fire. In the end, football at the highest level is about moments rather than minutes. PSG had so many minutes, but Harvey Elliott had the moment. And that's why Liverpool, against all odds, hold the advantage. 1 shot, 1 goal, 3 points. Football is simple, and football is cruel. Anfield awaits. This tie is far from over. This has been Across the Pitch, over and out.